Dead. We're doing it, guys. We're getting through every single question, okay? We're already this far. I'm doing it. These are the music questions, not otherwise categorized by my covers, my guitar, YouTube, anything. This is just more general music questions, music I listen to. All right, so first we gotta talk about my favorite bands, my favorite songs, my favorite albums. This is a question that a lot of people asked. My favorite bands include the beginning, my top 5 is definitely Avenged Sevenfold, The Doors, Rise Against, Deftones, Lady Gaga. I mean, Lady Gaga's not really a band. As far as bands, Lamb of God. So that's the top 5. Moving onwards, I would say Death Clock, Streetlight Manifesto, The Distillers, Rancid, and Dream Theater, probably. And that one's not really in that order. Again, like, those are my 5 right now. I've actually been listening to a lot of Dream Theater right now. So, I mean, my favorite song changes, but my favorite song of all time, I have no idea. I'll just list off some of my favorite songs. My favorite song by Avenged Sevenfold is Radiant Eclipse, so that's up there. I love Everything Goes Numb by Streetlight Manifesto. Actually, man, I think probably one of my favorite songs of all time is Rancid's Fall Back Down. That's probably one of my favorite songs by them. Dance of Eternity by Dream Theater is one of my favorite songs. Black Fire Upon Us by Death Clock. I know I'm kind of losing count now, but I'm just trying to list off the songs that have are my favorite songs of all time. Peace Frog by The Doors. Actually, Peace Frog and Not to Touch the Earth by The Doors. I like Shot in the Dark by Black Sabbath. I like As the Palaces Burn by Lamb of God. Like, the title track is probably my favorite song from that album. I'll go with Seneca Falls by The Distillers, probably. My favorite albums of all time, you got Waking the Fallen from Avenged Sevenfold. Actually, my favorite album of all time is probably Anamanaguchi's Endless Fantasy. Second favorite is probably either Waking the Fallen by Avenged Sevenfold or The Stage by Avenged Sevenfold. Their newest album was amazing. Everything Goes Numb by Streetlight Manifesto is just an amazing album from start to finish. Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater is another huge album for me. As the Palaces Burn by Lamb of God. Death Clock's Death Album 2? Actually, Feared, Ola England's band, Re-Feared, the remaster version of that album is one of my favorite albums of all time. Coral Fang by The Distillers, definitely. Periphery 1 and 3. Actually, I think I like Periphery 3 the best. The Shape of Color by Intervals. I did like the new album, but I think I like Shape of Color better. Art Angels by Grimes is amazing. I love that album. Matriarch by Veil of Maya. I really like Set Course for Andromeda by C2A. Another Eternity by Purity Ring. There's so many albums, like, and I love albums. Like, albums are my favorite. I listen to albums. Like, I don't really normally listen to songs by themselves. I usually listen to albums, and so I have a lot of favorite albums for sure. I should really order these because, like, you know, I have many more coming to my head. I really love Violent Sleep of Reason by Meshuggah, Damnation by Opeth. There's so many good ones, man. I'll cap it off with either Around the Fur by Deftones or Koi no Yokan. My favorite Avenged Sevenfold album and song, I said it earlier, is Waking the Fallen is my favorite album, and my favorite song is Radiant Eclipse off that album. That song, so fucking good. I really loved The Stage. The Stage actually ties for my favorite album by them, I think I would say. That whole album's just absolutely amazing. My favorite game OST, I would say, is Jet Force Gemini will always have my favorite OST of a game. I love Nier Automata, and I love the Elder Scrolls music. I really love all the stuff that Jeremy Soule did, including the stuff he did for Dungeon Siege. My favorite song from a video game of all time is Arnhem Nights from Medal of Honor Frontline. You guys asking about my original songs, I'm in a band called Thunderforge. We play power metal, and we're based more out of Massachusetts. The band is out there, but I still come out there and play gigs with them every once in a while. We have an EP out, and we're working on a full-length album right now. You can check those out in addition to my other original music on my website, FamilyJules7x.com. How did I get into music? I started like a lot of boys born in early 90s, and girls. I started listening to a lot of Britney Spears and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, the stuff that was on Nickelodeon, you know, like Aaron Carter, like all of these artists. And I loved them. I loved these artists as a kid, and I still do love Britney Spears and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Aaron Carter, I'm kind of like, what was I thinking? But whatever. I don't know. I can't say that. I haven't heard Aaron Carter in like 10 years, so like, I don't know. Maybe he's still fucking good. But actually, what got me into more music is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like the Dead Kennedys and stuff. And I was just like, holy fuck, this exists. And like, it just blew me away. And you know, I was like 8 or 9 at the time, but like punk music just resonated with me like so hard. And that's eventually what got me into like metal and stuff, is like that kind of music. I played a lot of video games, like PC games when I was like 11 or 12, around the time that I was into punk and ska and stuff. And there was this girl who was like this super scene girl. It was, I don't even remember her name or if she ever told me her name, but I played a lot of Battlefield 1942 with her, and she was the one who was just like, yo, what music you listen to? And I was just like, I really like Rancid, and I really like the Dead Kennedys. And she was like, dude, get all that stuff out of here. Like, let me give you some good stuff. And she sent me I Won't See Tonight part 1 or part 2, part 1 from Avenged Sevenfold, and Vermilion Part 2 by Slipknot. Actually, yeah, they were both parts, which is weird. But yeah, and that was how I got into metal. What band influenced me and influences me? You know, this is something I keep answering, I guess. Again, I'm answering every question here, so it's like I'm going to answer a lot of doubles. But Avenged Sevenfold, Straight Light Manifesto. Honestly, F-Zero X, the music from F-Zero X really like shaped my desire to play like that, to play like the way I do, like with solos and stuff. I didn't really get into bands like Killswitch or Lamb of God until after I started playing guitar. But before I started playing guitar, definitely like the Dead Kennedys, the Doors, and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, those guys really influenced me from like the start and stuff. And then there's other guitarists that, you know, that influenced. Like, I love Jimi Hendrix. There's so many, you know, like I listen to as much music as I possibly can, and I think I pull influence from everything I do, not just guitar stuff, but like you know, electronic and like chip stuff, like Anamanaguchi and stuff like that. I think I really take a lot of influence from those guys too. All right, so these are the specific questions that weren't really frequently asked. Do you have a favorite song in Crypt of the Necrodancer? If that's the case, what song? I love 2-3. The music from the Second Zone was some of my favorite, I think, just because of the emotional impact that they have. My favorite thing that I did for the Necrodancer album was actually the song I did with Adrisaurus, which is Not Today, which is technically kind of like a medley of the music from Zone 2. What do you think of Blaze Blues music? I played Blaze Blue a long time ago. I haven't really played it within the past few years, but I do like it. I do like the Blaze Blue music. It's definitely very popular. It seemed like really obscure at the time, but now like later, like years later, I'm like, man, like a lot of people like this game. Like that's weird. Nice video game music to cover on piano for you. The first one is Roxas's theme. It was really fun to play. I had a blast playing New Barktown from Pokemon Gold and Silver on piano. The song that I always play every time I sit at a piano is Lake Hylia from Twilight Princess, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. That song is really fun because it's root, octave, root, and then you have the rest of the chord on top, and you just move it up, and it's beautiful. That and the prelude to Final Fantasy is actually a lot easier than you think. It's just it's the same shape over and over and over and over again. So if you just learn C, D, E, G, you know, C, D, E, G, and then C, D, E, G, you know, you just keep doing it. Oh, and then you go. It's really fun to play. You should try it. My favorite composer of all time. It's tough because like now I know two of my favorite composers of all time, and I've talked to them at length, and I'm friends with them, which is Grant Kirkhope and Danny Baranowski. But I also really love okay. I'm gonna butcher his name, but Michael Giacchino. I know that's wrong. Let me look up the actual pronunciation. Okay. I think it's Michael Giacchino. I feel so bad. He did the music to Medal of Honor Frontline, but he also did the music to like The Incredibles. He did the music to Coco recently, which, oh my God, if you haven't seen Coco, check that movie out. That movie wrecked me. Other composers, Scott Lee did some a lot of my favorite work from games from Volition, like Red Faction and stuff like that. Dwayne Decker did one of my favorite OSTs of all time, which is Rise of Nations. So those are some of my favorite composers, video game composers. As far as movie stuff, I'm kind of basic. I really like John Williams, Howard Shore, and actually one of my favorites of all time was James Horner. So I was really sad when he died recently. Ever thought of doing a collaboration with Ninja Sex Party? I would love to. I met Danny very quickly. I'm pretty good friends with Oni and G and stuff, and like that whole group of stuff. So that's kind of how I kind of met him. Like I ran into him at a PAX one, and I was just like, and we talked about like, you know, Sleepy Cabin and all those guys and Aaron and stuff. But I would love to. If they ever wanted to, I'd be super down. Do you think your YouTube community are freeloader if we just see your videos and don't buy your CDs? No, because your views definitely hold a lot of value to me. Just by watching my videos is huge, you know? It supports me because, you know, like I make revenue from the ads and stuff. And even if you ad block me, if you view my videos and it has a lot of views, it makes the video look good, so other people watch it. You know. So like, no, I don't think you're a freeloader. I think everybody is in a different spot financially, and I like to remind people that I do appreciate you guys just watching my videos, just coming to my Twitch channel. Like, even if you don't donate or you don't subscribe or buy my CDs, I like making music, and I like providing music the way that I do. I would hate to feel like I would have a paywall to my music, especially now that I've been doing it this long. Hey, you don't think the bass is the best instrument ever? No, I don't think the bass is the best instrument ever, but it's a very good instrument, and I like playing it. With the synthesizer, sure, I don't know. How often do you find cool music through random comments? A lot, actually. I don't really take requests. One that comes to mind, let's see. I think the one that comes to mind is Normal Battle Theme from Golden Sun, like the Isaac Normal Battle Theme, because I'd played Golden Sun. Oh wait, no, actually. So I'd never played Golden Sun before, but a lot of people requested that song, and I listened to it and I thought it was amazing. So then I went and played it. I actually played it on Twitch. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but back when I did casual games on Twitch, I played Golden Sun. What is your favorite song of the Warp songs from Zelda Ocarina of Time? PD, I'm Mexican. I think my favorite is Nocturne of Shadows. I'm sorry, I'm an edgy boy. I like the, but it's not just like minor. Like Nocturne of Shadow has such a, it's such an interesting, like really just unstable melody. Like ba da 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 da. It's so cool, and like the way that Koji Kondo used those notes to like make these different, it blows my mind. So no, I think Nocturne of Shadow is definitely one of the more interesting ones. That or Requiem of Spirit is really fun to play. So I like that one. What is your opinion on Metallica and their profession over the years? Metallica is a band that I really got into, but not as much as many people did. I remember I got obsessed with them and I watched all of their live videos and stuff back in like mid 2000s or whatever. Around the time that they were doing Some Kind of Monster, and I wasn't really a fan of Some Kind of Monster, and I really wasn't a fan of, that was Saint Anger, I think, right? I like Metallica. I don't really think that I've spent a lot of time listening to Metallica. I actually think I spent more time listening to Megadeth. I think Dave Mustaine's songs appealed to me more when I was a teenager, guitar-wise at least. I liked playing Dave Mustaine's guitar lines a lot more than Metallica. What is your favorite song you've made? My favorite song that I've ever written is actually a song that's not been released. So my band Thunderforge, we're a power metal band. We're working on a full-length album, and there's a song that I wrote maybe 3 or 4 years ago that's going to be the final song on the album. It's a song that I wrote, and it's super long, but I poured my heart into. It's really important to me. I won't really give too much away, but the premise of the song is about it's about a civilization, medieval times. We're a power metal band, give us a break. It's the golden age of this civilization. Everything is great and everybody's happy. These bandits come in and burn the queen at the stake in front of the king for something that happened a long time ago. And it's like this revenge thing that drives the king crazy, and he becomes like this crazy mad king, almost like the Game of Thrones style. And what happens is they go into this slump, this decline, and it's the worst thing in the world. People are dying in the streets and stuff like that. And then eventually what happens is the people come together and realize that the golden age had nothing to do with a king. It didn't have to do with the leadership. It had to do with the people. So they rebuild the city. It's power metal, dude. It's all about following your dreams and, you know, killing dragons and stuff. That's the story, the premise of it, and the music is some of my favorite stuff that I've written. So I can't wait to release that with the rest of the album, with other songs that I've written that I enjoy. What did you make, or with that? Okay, hold on. Let me see. What did make you fell in love with music? What did make me fell in love with music was video game music and movie music. I remember I was really attached to movie soundtracks and the music to like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff. I would go to school in like 2nd or 3rd grade and they'd be like, all right, do you want to sing Mary Had a Little Lamb or what? And I'd be like, fuck no, I want to sing Spiral Mountain from Banjo-Kazooie. I want to sing the Apollo 13 theme. Like those are the things that really like stuck out to me. So like my whole life has been about video game music, man, and like movie themes and stuff. Want to start developing an Erage together? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, jazz funk? Sure. I'm not really good at either of those, but I'm kind of busy lately, but maybe in the future. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the band Misery Signals? I'm not familiar with them. I'm sorry. In Draw My Life video, you mentioned that one of the first bands you really got into was the Dead Kennedys. What are a couple other punk bands you were into? Rancid, Distillers, man, all fucking day. I love those bands. I know that there was like huge whatever between, you know, Brody Dahl and Tim Armstrong and stuff like that, but man, I don't let it get to me. I love Rancid, I love the Distillers, I love the Dead Kennedys. I never really was a huge fan of like Black Flag or NoFX or anything, but those were the bands that really like, they really made a big part in shaping my musical whatever. What's your favorite instrument that isn't a string or percussion instrument? Have you ever heard of Amaranth? Yeah, I think I played a show with Amaranth. Thunderforge, I think, opened for Amaranth at one point. I don't know if that's true. I'm probably lying. I think we played with Amaranth and Dragon Force at one show, and that was like sick. I like Amaranth a lot. What game soundtrack song do you think most deserves more love than it gets? I know I'm beating this, and I always beat this, and it's a dead horse at this point, but man, the Jet Force Gemini soundtrack is so good. I mean, it was a dream team. You know, it was mostly written by Robin Beanland, but it had like a lot of other people on it, and it's such a good soundtrack. And I mean, again, like that time frame of video games and stuff had a huge impact on me. So, I mean, again, I might be biased, but that's my honest answer. The Jet Force Gemini soundtrack. Nobody played that game. Very few people played that game. But the soundtrack, I think anybody could enjoy. It's so good. Where did you get that Rise Against shirt? The one that I was wearing in the video that was very recently when I asked these questions. I probably got it at a Hot Topic on a clearance rack. That's usually where I get a lot of my band shirts. Did you notice Second Heartbeat is essentially the theme from Rocky? It's one note. I mean, there's probably many songs that just do one note. I can't think of any off the top of my head because this is probably the 1000th question I've answered tonight. But yeah, I guess I never really thought of that. Dream band lineup. I want to see a band with Jim Morrison on vocals, Sinister Gates on the guitar, Tim Armstrong on rhythm guitar, Lady Gaga on piano, Victor Wooten on bass. And then on drums, Mike Mangini. No, I don't know if that would sound very good, but that's my dream band lineup. What's your favorite song, video game soundtrack you've covered? Have you considered getting a live drummer? My favorite song that I've covered, the single song covers, I loved doing like Rock Club and stuff from Scott Pilgrim. Those were some of like the most fun I've had covering music. It's actually a shame I haven't really done any Scott Pilgrim stuff this year so far. And I have thought about getting a live drummer, but it actually makes the process a lot harder when I have to rely on a drummer when I do all of the arranging and stuff. So not really, probably not for my YouTube stuff. What's my musical background? So I started, I've been playing piano for a long time. You know, I've always had a piano since I was like 6 or 7. Picked up guitar when I was like 12 or 13, and I played that, and I was totally self-taught until I was about 21 when I went to college and I studied classical guitar performance. Other than that, every other instrument that I've learned, ocarina, cello, piano, have all been self-taught. If you could have written a song that's already been written, what would it be? What famous band do you wish you were in and or started? For a song that I wish I wrote, I don't know, man. I don't really think about that. A Little Piece of Heaven by Avenged Sevenfold. Just because the Rev was one of the, you know, R.I.P. the Rev. He was one of the best songwriters, I think, of this generation. You know, disagree if you want, but man, he wrote the craziest shit, man. Famous band do you wish you were in and or started? Probably Avenged Sevenfold. I don't know, fuck it. Oh my god, I almost like, man, I'm getting so tired I can't even like read these. Wow. When's the Miguela Oviania cover? JK, have you ever considered going on tour? Yes, I would love to go on tour, but it's really difficult because I don't know if there's much demand for a video game YouTube guitarist tour, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to do it if it was going to lose a shit ton of money. Like, I'd do it at a loss for sure because it would be really fun. I think it's tough because, you know, like, I don't know if there's a whole lot of people that would be interested in going out to see something like this. Listen to Gent. Yes, I do like Gent. If you got open for any bands, who would it be? I'd love to open for Dream Theater or Sevenfold. Deftones. I'd love to open for the Deftones. That'd be cool. What kind of metal do you listen? So I listen to a lot of different stuff. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of Dream Theater. I really like The Astonishing, their newest album, which came out like a year ago or whatever. It depends. Sometimes I'll listen to a lot of like Veil of Maya, Between the Buried and Me. You know, sometimes I go through phases. Devin Townsend sometimes, and when I'm in that zone, I listen to Devin Townsend or whatever. But when I'm in like more of like a proggy kind of guitarist thing, I'll listen to Periphery or Intervals or something like that. Like, it really depends on what I listen to, but most importantly, I love albums. Like, I listen to albums like from front to back all the time. Aside from metal, are there any other genres of music you'd enjoy or perhaps want to try tackling in the future? I'd love to get better at jazz. I like jazz music. I like playing jazz bass. I'm not very good at it, again, but I really like I really like playing it, and I like the genre, and I've always been interested in it. So that's something I would like to learn eventually. What Nintendo game has the best soundtrack in your opinion? It's kind of basic. I think I want to say Ocarina of Time. Those melodies and that music really affected me the most, and when I look back at it, comparing it to the music from, newer Zeldas, Link's Awakening is probably like my favorite Zelda OST, but like Ocarina of Time feels the more iconic to me. Like, Link's Awakening has better music. Link's Awakening has better songs, but I think Ocarina of Time had a better overall motifs and themes and melodies and stuff, personally. Mario 64 had great songs, but again, I didn't like all of them. As far as like the best soundtrack overall, probably Ocarina of Time, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, it's such a shit game, whatever. What's your favorite Iron Maiden album? Song of that album? I'm so basic, man. I mean, even as a power metal guy, like, this is such a basic answer, but man, like, Number of the Beast, I love Run to the Hills, man. I've only just started getting into music theory as a professional musician. What insight can you give to someone just starting to learn? So it's the same thing I've said about everything in the past about guitar and stuff. It's just start basic and develop a very strong foundation and then move on. Be very focused on learn your circle of fifths, memorize it, use a mnemonic device to try to figure out how you can replicate it and drill it in your brain. The circle of fifths is something that, like, it continues to blow my mind. Like, you know, in the beginning, it helps you with like learning key signatures and knowing what a fifth is from something and the relative minors for the major keys and stuff. You know, just recently, like all the stuff with, you know, Jacob Collier has been doing all these things on negative and positive harmony and using the notes from one side and the other side to, like, I don't know, like it continues to blow my mind, like how much the basic foundations of these apply to later music. Learn your scales, learn your modes, understand them, understand why they are what they are, and start there and develop everything from there. Then you can start really, you know, get buckling down with chord progressions, train your ear, like learn interval training. There's a lot of websites to help you be able to identify intervals and stuff. Basic stuff and really get that down. Besides metal, what genres do you enjoy listening to? Stuff like Anamanaguchi. I'm not really huge into electronic chip stuff, but like I definitely love that stuff. I like jazz. I like pop music. I love pop music. Lady Gaga is one of my favorite artists of all time. Britney Spears. I love that stuff, man. When and how did you know music was what you wanted to put everything you had into? So I've always been into, since I was really young, magic. And I've never really talked about this, but I loved magic tricks. I had like magic sets and stuff, and I could do like, you know, the sleight of hand stuff. And I loved like Harry Potter and stuff. I always wanted to be a wizard. I wanted to be a magician, you know, as a kid and stuff. As I grew older, you know, you learn that doesn't really exist, right? You know, I mean, I think at the time I knew it didn't exist too, but like, it's not a realistic thing. But like, music is magic to me. There's something very magical about being able to evoke emotion from somebody and be able to really like use notes and music to tap in to another person and be able to make them feel a certain way. I think that's very magical in a way, and I think that's why I was so, you know, I stuck to it and stuff. I don't know. Do you like prog? Yes, I love prog. Any modern metal band you'd recommend? Lately, I've been listening to a lot of Intervals. Intervals is great. Aaron Marshall's an amazing guitarist. Other modern metal bands, Devin Townsend's amazing. Periphery, if you haven't heard of them. Animals as Leaders, if you haven't heard of them. What was the first song or solo you learned to play by your own choice? I was self-taught, so everything was kind of self-choice. But I think the first complete solo I ever learned was the solo to Seize the Day from Avenged Sevenfold. Favorite metalcore band? Is Killswitch Engage metalcore? I like them. Video game music is obviously a big part of your life. What was the one video game soundtrack that made you want to get involved in video game music? Definitely F-Zero X. That soundtrack blew me away. That was my first like exposure to metal and metal guitar and stuff, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard at the time. And it was just like, man, if I could do this someday, that'd be absolutely just the best thing in the world. What's your favorite video game main menu theme song? Mario 64. What's your advice to someone who wants to be a musician like you? What does that mean? Like, do you want to be a video game cover guy, or do you want to just play guitar? I would say if you want to be a musician like me, figure out what you want to do. Figure out what kind of a musician that you ultimately want to become. Find people that are like that. Learn from them. If you can't ask them specifically questions, you know, read about them. Learn what about their music you like. I think that's super, super important, and try to apply that to yourself. You know, and then finally, my least favorite genre of music. You know, the obvious answer that everybody says for this is country, but there's some country I like, or rap, and there's some rap that I like, or hip hop. There's some hip hop that I like. Nightcore. We'll go with night. Is that a genre? Does that count? All right, we're getting there, guys. I know I keep saying that, but man, there's a lot of questions here.